Honestly, I had no idea how bad things were. I mean, I planned on doing a podcast today to continue what I've been talking about with this fella from Toronto, this Canadian-born Punjabi fella who is not actually Punjabi, he's a Canadian citizen. I was going to get back into his story, but then I'm sitting there this morning and I'm reading the news, and I came across an article from the CBC talking about our economy and how bad. It specifically was talking about Ontario's economic report for the second quarter. And really, I don't pay much attention to this stuff. I'm more shocked about the reporting of the CBC, actually. I mean, maybe that's what it is. I don't know. But it just got me, it got me curious. So I went to the report itself. I started reading it, and I guess I had no idea how bad it was. So we're going to talk about this and how it relates to trucking. And I mean, I was going to show you how to, I guess, steal legally from people, because that was what the series was on, right? But we're going to I'm going to have to teach you how to commit theft legally another time. So if you're new to this channel, if you like the content and you haven't subscribed yet, I plan on being around for a while. So if you hit the subscribe button, I greatly appreciate it. Leave your comments down below. You can lambaste me in the comments, as some have. You can tell me how great the channel is. You can discuss amongst yourselves. If you're going to take something out, take it out on me. I'm the talking head. I would appreciate if everybody was respectful to each other. Anyway, so going forward. So apparently Ontario has lost 38,000 jobs in the second quarter. We were doing good leading up to this quarter because it was like the last quarter of last year and the first quarter of this year. We were doing good leading up to the tariffs. And then second quarter, we absolutely got lambasted. We lost 38,000 jobs. And the hardest hit sector, I'm going to be looking down at my notes a lot. The hardest hit sector was manufacturing, which equals a lot of trucking jobs, right? And within that, unfortunately, Windsor is getting the brunt of this. So 29,400 manufacturing jobs gone. Building jobs, 14,900. Information and culture, 12,900. And key to us, within the transportation industry, so they have warehousing. So that would be transportation and warehousing. So it's trucking jobs and warehousing and other transportation related jobs, 8,600 job losses. So tariffs are partly to blame for this. Look, I don't really get into political discussions with my friends much, okay? I kind of just watch and observe, and if I have something to say, I'll say it right here. I kind of feel like, I don't know if you've ever had a friend when you were growing up, that friend could absolutely, decimate you if they wanted to, but because you're friends, they've never done any harm to you, they've never done anything, you've never had to deal with them, right? On that level. So you take them for granted, right? You start getting a big mouth on you. You start getting a little bit cocky. You start flexing your muscles a little bit around this friend because you've underestimated them, right? And you may have started thinking you're more than you actually are. Kind of like a lot of truck drivers, right? We start thinking we're so important to the company, right? We delude ourselves into thinking that our presence actually matters, right? Well, that's kind of that's been my feelings about Canada versus the United States throughout this whole thing. And I'm not saying whether I agree with it or disagree with it. Quite honestly, I don't know if Pierre Poilievre would be doing any better than Mark Carney. I don't know that he would. I mean, he was talking about tariffs and all that stuff. I remember he was going on about what he was going to do, this and that. So he was going to do a lot of the same stuff that Mark Carney did. And I can't imagine that, Pierre wouldn't have tried to find new trading partners in response to the tariffs, international trading partners overseas. I can't imagine he wouldn't have done that also. I can't imagine that trying to get rid of interprovincial barriers. I can't see why he wouldn't have done that either in for the sake of national interest. There's other things I think he might have done, right? But in some of these regards, and this is just my peanut gallery opinion, I don't know if he would have done much better, okay? So, but at any rate, elbows up is turning more into put your ass in the air and get effed, okay? Because that's what it feels like to me. Canada is getting a wake-up call. So, speaking of Pierre Poilievre, and we're going to get into this trucking stuff here really quick, but I got to mention this. Pierre Poilievre has accused the Liberals of bringing in record numbers of temporary foreign workers, 5,000 new visas in the first 6 months. And the Liberals have responded to this and said, there's a story from what's it called? The Squamish Chief Online. He interviewed an immigration official, said that's not true. Most of those are actually renewals. Only 33,722 were actually new. And it went on to say that the Liberals, in response to a housing crisis created by a population boom, have for the first time put a cap on the number of temporary foreign workers they're going to allow into our country. So they basically refuted Pierre Poilievre's point, and they did it by, it's like throwing themselves under the bus. So like the Liberals, in response to their own policies, have decided for the first time ever to put a cap on temporary foreign workers. So I found that a little bit comical. But so regarding trucking, it's not a monolith. Okay, this is something within all those jobs that are being lost. There are winners and there are losers. I work in the industrial waste industry. We're always the winners, because no matter what happens with the broader economy, it doesn't matter if they do another lockdown. It doesn't matter if a factory closes down. We're the ones that help go in, clean it out. If the factory needs to be wiped down to be decontaminated because of like COVID lockdowns, we're the ones that get called in to wipe down all the equipment. So if you're not in the environmental industry, and like if you want stability, I would suggest that's something to consider. It is hard work though. It's not like any other trucking job I've ever had. So auto parts they're saying that's going to be one of the hardest hit for manufacturing. Now, I used to work as an auto parts delivery driver. I worked for Warren Gibson Limited out of Chatham. We went to Ohio. We picked up from the Alliston plant, and we're very lucky because Honda is one of the most. I think the Honda, if memory serves, the Honda Alliston plant is one of the only. I'm pretty sure it's one of the few that are stable. Like they have no plans on leaving. They're still investing in the plant. So I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's the last I checked on that. So auto parts is going to be hit the hardest. And some of the other places, though, that are going to be doing good, they're seeing higher sales in chemicals, paper, printing, furniture, and non-metallic minerals. So if you're in a stable job right now and you feel that you must switch, then these are some of the winners that you might want to consider. To my old co-workers or anybody in any trucking industry, if in the trucking industry, if you're like Warren Gibson, they used to put people on work share because it was, I think they call that flex security, right? You've got your. So what work share is basically when there's no business going on, the government subsidizes your paycheck so that you don't quit. So because like with Honda, for example, when they needed a carrier, they needed it right now. They didn't have time for you to go out and find new employees. They needed you right now. So it was because it was all just-in-time delivery. So the government allowed Warren Gibson, they worked in tandem with them to provide work share. And I'm sure there were some strings that he had to deal with. In fact, I know there was. I used to sit in a lot of committee meetings. If you have a company that provides work share, I would consider don't get caught up in the drama. Just stay where you're at. And you know, if it gets slow, unless you got bigger dreams or you gotta leave, I would recommend you stay where you are. And if you're gonna leave, then I would think a little bit more intelligently about just leaving. I know a lot of my old coworkers, when I would talk to them, you know, there was like, I'll work here or I'll work here at this other place that does exactly the same work, right? They don't think very broad about the transportation industry. And my advice to you, my coworkers, or like this, not just to them, okay? I'm talking to everybody. Consider before you leave, who are the winners in this, right? Like I said, I'm in the environmental industry. We always win. So sometimes we win too much, and I end up working more than I want to work. So that's what I got for you today. I couldn't believe how bad everything's going. I'll just reiterate. Our unemployment is 7.8% in Ontario. It's the highest since 2012, and it's the sharpest job loss since 2009. Everything's the worst since ever, right? First time ever there's a cap on temporary foreign workers. So I don't think we're doing that good, honestly. Anyway, if you like the content, do me a favor, like and subscribe. And I think that's about it for today. Anyway, till next time, cheers. Keep the rubber side down.